You wake before sunrise because your knees hurt. The fire is low, your hair has begun to gray. Several teeth are missing, you no longer run as quickly as the younger hunters. But when the group prepares to move, everyone looks at you. You remember where water remained during the last drought, you know which valley floods first. You know what that strange cloud over the mountains means. Are you old? In the modern imagination, ancient humans rarely reach old age. People repeat a simple number 30 and imagine that almost everyone dying before their 30th birthday. That is not what life expectancy means. A low life expectancy, birth can be produced by many deaths in infancy and childhood. If several children die very young, the average collapses even when some adults live into their 50s, 60s, or beyond. Ancient life was dangerous. Infection, injury, childbirth, violence, hunger, and exposure killed people at every age. But surviving childhood did not place a timer above your head that stopped at 30. Studies of recent hunter-gatherer and small-scale populations cannot recreate the Paleolithic perfectly. They live in different environments and have histories of contact, disease, and disruption. Still, they provide one useful comparison. Demographic research by Michael Gervin and Hillard Kaplan found that life expectancy at birth in such populations could look low, while the most common age of adult death was around 7 decades. Old age was not guaranteed. It was also not a modern invention. The fossil record tells the same story more indirectly. Bones do not preserve birthdays. Researchers estimate age from tooth development and wear, joint surfaces, bone remodeling, and other changes. These methods become less precise as adults grow older. So when archaeologists call someone an older adult, they are not always saying exactly 62 or 71. They are saying this person survived well beyond physical maturity and carried the marks of a long life. One of the most remarkable examples is not even a member of our own species. At Dmanisi in Georgia, researchers found the skull and jaw of an early Homo individual who lived about 1.77 million years ago. This person had lost all but one tooth several years before death. The empty tooth sockets had healed, that matters. This was not someone who lost teeth during the final hours of life. For years, the individual continued eating without normal chewing. How? We cannot know for certain. Soft tissues, marrow, ripe plants, or foods broken with tools may have helped. Other group members may have shared suitable food or processed it. The fossil proves survival with severe chewing impairment. It does not prove exactly how much assistance was required, but it reveals something important. Even very early humans lived in social settings where an impaired adult could remain alive for years. Much later, a Neanderthal known as Shanidar once survived a different collection of problems. He lived roughly 50,000 years ago and died at an estimated age of 40 to 50, an older adult for the population and period. His skeleton shows a damaged left eye region, loss of the right forearm and hand, an abnormal gait, joint degeneration, and other physical difficulties. A later study also identified severe bony growths in his ear canals, indicating major hearing loss. Imagine moving through a rocky landscape with reduced hearing, limited use of one arm, impaired vision, and painful movement. He was not necessarily helpless. A person can adapt to disability, develop new techniques, and continue contributing. But the combination would have increased risk, especially around predators, difficult terrain, and group hunting. Researchers have argued that his survival indicates some form of social support. Exactly what that support looked like is debated. It may have included shared food, protection, adjusted tasks, assistance while moving, or simply a group willing to accommodate his abilities. The safest conclusion is not that everyone carried him everywhere. It is that the group did not automatically abandon him when his body changed. For most of human evolution, older people were rare compared with today. Then something changed. Rachel Kaspari and Sanghi Lee compared the number of older and younger adults in dental samples from different stages of human evolution. They classified adults relative to the age of dental maturity, rather than using a modern retirement age. Their results suggested that older adults became dramatically more common among Upper Paleolithic modern humans. The increase was not a small cosmetic detail. It changed the structure of the population. More people were alive at the same time as their adult children and grandchildren. That meant more overlapping generations. and overlapping generations create possibilities. A young person knows what happened this season. An older person may remember several rare seasons. Where did the herd move during the unusually dry year? Which plants appear after a fire? Which route looked shorter, but ended at a cliff? How do you shape stone that fractures differently from the local rock? What should you do when a child develops the same fever seen 20 years earlier? Not every older person knew every answer. Age does not automatically create wisdom. Memory can fail. Bodies weaken. Experience can also preserve bad habits. But a population with more older adults contains more accumulated trials. Some mistakes no longer need to be repeated. That knowledge could be taught through demonstration, stories, correction, and daily work. An elder might no longer be the fastest hunter but could repair tools, process hides, prepare food, watch children, identify plants, maintain fire, teach routes, or guide decisions. Modern hunter-gatherer studies suggest that adults often remain productive for decades and that food and labor move between ages. Younger adults may provide strength and high hunting returns. Older adults may contribute gathered food, skills, childcare, and information. The balance changes across a lifetime. Value does not disappear when speed declines. This may help explain why humans are unusual among primates. Our children remain dependent for many years. They need food, protection, teaching, and patience. A group containing parents, grandparents, siblings, and other experienced adults can distribute that burden. A mother caring for an infant can receive food from others. A skilled older person can supervise children while younger adults travel. Knowledge survives because it is stored in more than one brain. But growing old in prehistory was not gentle. There were no glasses for fading vision, no hearing aids, no replacement joints, no antibiotics for pneumonia. Worn teeth could turn eating into daily work. Arthritis could make migration painful. A broken hip might be fatal. An older person depended on the group, but the group also depended on the older person. That relationship was practical, emotional, and probably different in every community. There was no universal prehistoric retirement plan. Some people were respected, some may have been ignored. Some groups had enough food to support weaker members. Others faced crises in which every additional mouth created pressure. The archaeological record usually preserves bones, not conversations. It cannot tell us who was loved, who was difficult, or who told the best stories beside the fire. Still, survival itself leaves clues. A healed injury means time passed after trauma. Severe tooth loss with healed sockets means someone kept eating. Degenerative joints mean years of repeated movement. An older adult skeleton is evidence that a person crossed thousands of ordinary dangers and remained part of a living community. The counterintuitive answer is that old age may have been one of humanity's most powerful technologies. Not a tool made from stone, a tool made from time. An older person could carry maps that were never drawn, medical observations that were never written, and memories of disasters that had not returned for decades. When older adults became more common, human groups did not simply gain more mouths to feed. They gained deeper memory. Today, information survives in books, servers, photographs, and recordings. You can learn about a flood from someone who died a century ago. Ancient communities had no external archive like that. People were the archive. You sit near the fire as the younger adults argue about which path to take. One route is shorter. You remember what happened there after heavy rain. You point toward the ridge. The group listens. Your knees still hurt. Your teeth are still worn. You cannot outrun the youngest hunter. But tomorrow, because of something you remembered, everyone may still be alive. If you enjoyed this journey into the distant past, subscribe for more stories about ancient humans and human evolution.